Good evening. Welcome to Option Center. Sorry about the delay here for the weekend update. Wanted to get this out to you tonight, Sunday. Thanks for joining us. It's about 9:30, so it's a little bit later. Hopefully you'll get this video. It's not invalidated. This is for the weekly review, so this should be good for pretty much the whole week. Want to make sure you check out all this information that's in here because we're trying to figure out what's happening. If this happens, then we're looking for this result. If that happens, then I think this will happen. So lots of good information. If you're new here, go down to that bottom right hand corner, hit that options tender logo and subscribe. If you can, please like the video. Please help us support this channel by liking the video and or commenting. That would be really helpful if you want to help out in any other way, because maybe this channel is helping you out. Go down to the description. There's plenty of ways to do it down there. So our game plan today is to go through our weekly process. We have SPX on multiple time frames. We're going to go from the monthly down to the 65-minute. We're going to check out SPY just so you can kind of translate those numbers, because most people trade on SPY, and so we want to kind of translate those numbers. We'll check out QQQ. We'll look at the Elliott wave, and then VIX, and we'll check out ES, which is the SPX, the S&P Standard & Poor Futures. All right. So let's jump into it. We have SPX on the monthly time frame going back to the Great Depression. We have this trend line all the way up top. We hit that trend line. So what we're looking at is a greater correction. Yes, we can go up higher and retest that trend line as well. We had a lot of confluence coming up here at the top that we just had. So I do think we're going to make a lower high. Let me dig in here just a little bit more. I do think we have that lower high. It's not confirmed until we make a new low, but I think we're working on that now. Yes. Can we go a little bit higher? Can we retest the highs? Yes. Yes. All that's possible. I can't say it's impossible. We are traders. Remember, we go with the data that we have. The data that we have right now says that we're probably going to go lower unless told otherwise. But on this monthly time frame, we have our reversal. We're getting into that 8 EMA. We want to lose that 8 EMA. We're right on it right now. We have a little bit of time left in this month. So we'll see how that candle, maybe it's a candle of indecision, and then next month kind of makes that choice of going higher or lower at this point. We haven't retested the breakout point, and so that's a concern of mine. We dig in a little bit deeper. We've had this box here for quite some time. We broke out from this area, and it just so happens to be at this declining 20-month moving average, and we haven't tested that. It seems very unlikely that maybe this is what you consider a retest. We haven't quite came back to the point, but breaking out of an ascending triangle, breaking out, making a high, and then retesting to make sure that breakout was legit, and then going higher is natural. And we just haven't gotten there. So we really want to get down to this 4,100 area. I really think we want to get to that point. And I'll show you in the lower time frame. So make sure you stick around, hit that notification bell so you get these videos often. We try to do them every single day. We can't always. We have a family, we have hockey, we travel, we do all these things. So I try to do them whether I'm on the road or not. So anyway, we're still looking to test this area at the 4,100 zone on the weekly time frame. Checking out on the weekly, we're not going to look at too many indicators today. We're really focusing on market structure and price action. And what we're looking for in the weekly time frame is really in a minimum type correction, just the bare minimum, that we already have our first wave move down. We have our correction where we have a top in, and you see this rising pivot from the 2018 Megaphone. We're breaking down from that as well. Retested it, breaking down. And I just think we get down here further at bare minimum for the C. Now what we have here is the length of wave A equaling the length of wave C. So that would be our target at the bottom of the channel, just breaking down underneath slightly. Let's look at just what's happening last week. Last week we actually started to look bullish, and then we ended off the week rejecting off the 8 EMA. So that's a negative sign that this 8 EMA is our trending indicator. Okay, so that's very weak for the weekly, no pun intended. We got a reversal signal, made a charge to the upside and rejected off of it. So that's a possible another reversal where we get another low. And now I can actually start explaining this. I'm going to explain this on every time frame from this point. On the weekly time frame, let's just be frank. This is a 3-wave move down. That's a correction. Okay, a correction. 3-wave move down so far means that the bulls have hope and that we go higher. What I'm looking for is a slight new low, probably testing this 100 moving average, the simple moving average, the 50-week moving average, and also that just happens to coincide with if you just spike through that 4100 area. So there's this confluence area here of a lot of demand area from this 4100 all the way up to the 4200. I don't think the 4200 is strong enough to hold, but it could. So at this point, we have a 3-wave move. Bulls came in buying because that would be their end of their move, and they want to go higher. But we're looking for that last wave down. So now it's yes, you have overlapping waves. So this would be a leading diagonal. You have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all in 3-wave moves. Okay, so getting this last wave down for the bearish situation is very necessary. Now, that's one case. The others is really just the crash case. The only other bearish situation is the crash case. So that would mean this is a 1, 2, 1, 2, and we just crater from here. So we'll have to see how price action takes place going into this week and continuing on to see if it's relentless to the downside. Maybe we do have Powell on Thursday. Other than that, there's not a whole lot that can move. There's some catalysts, but not a whole lot that the market's been looking at, such as inflation. So let's go down to the weekly. Trend is our friend. You see some action here. We have our rising pivot that we're pivoting around it right now. We held it last week along with the 8 EMA in the 20 simple moving average. So that's a likely area where we're going to end the week because they don't want to show their cards. So we're going to see if we're starting to get a bounce in the futures, but we'll see what happens from here. Again, on the daily time frame, we have a impulsive move down, retracement. If you consider this a 3-wave move down, 3-wave move up, 3-wave move down. Now you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like a 5-wave move, right? Well, I have been counting this in the past as a 3-wave move down, and then you get a expanded flat for an A, B, C. And I'll show this on the 65-minute as well. I'll show different scenarios there. But that means that we had a wave 4 correction, pretty deep, overlapping, and then we get one more lower, and low, and you'll see that's the ascending triangle breakout. That would be perfect for our scenario to at least retest the breakout point. That would be natural for the market. And if we're getting divergences and different indicators that are saying, hey, we're looking for a bounce here, we're looking for a low, we're looking for a bounce. After getting a 5-wave move, then we'd be looking for maybe that back test of this rising pivot again, a 50-60% retracement, something like that. Okay, that's one scenario. Again, there's another scenario where it's more bearish, and we have to be conservative until proven otherwise. We'll have to check out our indicators. A 1-2-1-2 setup, and we start moving down. My God, this thing would just start cratering. We just have to put everything into context, though. We have to make sure that we're following our procedures, just to check to see if our indicators at this. I know I'm not showing them right now, but they're not showing us anything. We're not getting the lows. We don't think the lows in. If you're a bull, you're looking for an ABC, and then we're going to try to make a higher low at any point now. A higher low, and we continue higher. We're going to break some trend lines to the upside. I'm not sure that that's the case. We'll check it on ES so we can see the futures, but before that, let's go to the 65. On the 65-minute chart, again, we're holding that rising pivot, and we're also holding the support area. We back tested off of, and I know you can draw this a couple different ways. You can use the bodies, you can use the spikes through, so basically we're back testing this head and shoulder pattern. And if you do a measure move of this head and shoulder from the head down to the neckline, and then you take it to the breakdown area, gosh, we're really just looking at that like 4100 area that we're talking about in this whole case anyway. So if this head and shoulder pattern plays out, we're just getting to the point where it's natural for the market to retest the breakout area. We're getting to the same point. So it's just kind of fitting that, that's our Goldilocks scenario where we get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way down there. So that's what we will be looking at in the next couple weeks here as our main situation. But we're still going to keep in mind that this could be a 1-2-1-2, and if we get some sort of catalyst from the wars, anything happening, the Fed is really the most important thing to us. It depends what they do. If they pivot and emergency pivot and whatever they want to do, they can rock the market. So we have our measured move right down to the same area of the breakout point. And now let's check out, let's go over to SPY, and then we can check out the traditional technical analysis, and then we can go over to the Elliott wave count. Okay, so we're showing pretty much the same thing. What happened from, let's see if we can draw some lines here, but what happened, we had a wedge from this expanded flat, expanded flat, and we had a divergence here. We made a slight new high, and we made lower highs in all the indicators. And so we broke down at that point from this gap resistance. We broke down the trend line, the fast trend line. I know that usually there's a lot of situations where you can just make a higher low and make a new trend line and you make new highs. That's possible. SPY shows that situation is possible, so it keeps doubt in our mind. It keeps us thinking that, hey, maybe we can make an A, B, C up and revisit the trend lines, the downtrend lines that are up above, but QQQ says different. It says otherwise. So that would put the burden all on IWM and DIA. So if the small caps in the Dow really, really are strong and ripping, then that's the only time that I'm going to consider that this is going to make another high. While tech is maybe just being neutral / bearish. Okay, let's draw another. Let's see if we can try to make a trend line here down to this. Because if we're getting down to the 410 area, you see the point of control at the 412. That would be a good area for another low. If we're trying to get this new low here, it's possible that we have that last wave. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and just one more wave down. I don't know how long it's going to take. What, nothing moves in a straight line. So possibly to this point in control here, or maybe this low around the 417. Anywhere in this zone would be representation of making a new low first of all. So that would establish a 5-wave move. And then somewhere down here, if we have the proper divergences, and we'll check out all the indicators on the daily time frame for a reversal, the Williams percent R with the RSI and the MACD. We'll check out so many different indicators, the McClellan summation, the oscillator. I think the oscillator will be more important on that time frame on the daily to see if there's any bullish divergence. If and when that happens, so then in that case, we can retest. We can retrace some of this, maybe halfway to 60% of the way, and then we get our continuation to the downside. Right now, we only have 3 waves. We have 3 waves, and that's bullish. That's a correction. 3 waves is a correction. 5 waves is an impulse, even if it overlaps. We have 3 waves. That says we move higher. So if we make a higher low at this point, we're looking higher. And then this channel is probably going to be taken out. Now there's confirmation for, and the reason why I say that, you just have to keep this in mind. If you're looking at a 3-wave correction, that doesn't mean yet your correction's over. This could be the first part of the correction. So you have 3 waves down for an ABC. You have a 3-wave move up, but you do not exceed these highs up here. If you exceed this B wave, then that negates any further, well, it negates the bearish trend, first of all. As a 3-wave move down, you get an A, you get a 3-wave move up for B, and then you get a 5-wave move down for C. Okay, so that's a different type of, that's just a bigger correction. I don't think that's the case at all. So sorry for going through that, but that's an important thing to keep in mind when you're looking at corrections and smaller time frames as well. So when you're looking for structure, the 3 waves doesn't complete it. Okay, right now we have a possible 5 through 5, which could be a zigzag. We have an ABC, it doesn't matter, but this could just simply be an ABC for an A, larger A, then a B, and then a C going lower. That I don't think is the case because of all of our scenarios seeking, this correction is already big enough. In other words, if we're going higher, this correction is large enough. And I'll stop rambling on from here. I don't want to confuse you. So, we'll be connecting some of these dots. We'll draw some more trend lines. That way, whenever we get the retracement, if we get a retracement, if this whole scenario plays out to where we get a new low, then we'll be looking at some of these trend lines to make sure that we compare traditional technical analysis with some of our retracements from Fibonacci and then our indicators. So you want to overlap all of those in order to make decisions. So far, we're looking for a higher low. I don't think that's the situation, but if we come into these options, expected move, perhaps, maybe that's it. And then we go higher, that's bullish because we have a 3-wave move. All right, as simple as that. 3-wave move, we make a higher low and we start, and then we break this high. I think we're comfortable enough to admit that we're just going to go higher. Now, we will have other scenarios, but we'll bring those out at the time. We get one more low, which I think that's what we're looking at. We're trying to get to that point in control. I think that's the attraction here. And then I think we have our impulse move. Okay, And then I have this one typed out as the super bearish, the more bearish scenario, 1 2 1 2, because I'm ready for it. That is simple as that. I'm ready for it. And if we continue down relentlessly, that will be that. But let's dig in a little bit closer. We talked about this enough. Now let's dig in a little bit closer into like Monday and Tuesday type action. So what happened on Friday? We got our slightly higher high. We had divergence and we started to spike down. So we have it appears that we only have 3 waves at this point. We didn't get to the retracements that we wanted. So I think that's deceitful. I think we're looking for one more little low. Maybe overnight, even though we're gapped up right now, there's a possibility by the time we wake up that or by the end of Monday going into Tuesday, because we were bearish on Friday, usually Monday is a continuation of Friday. We usually don't get a turnaround on Friday. So on Monday, if we're just a little bit weaker, we can start confusing the bulls and the bears because we're coming into the 50-60% retracement of this move. Okay? And there's some confluence here. So what I'm looking for is, again, a leading diagonal. I know you got to keep those in your vocabulary. The market tries to confuse you. You have a 1 2 3, and I think we're getting a little bit of pullback. Maybe we gap up tomorrow and then crap. So we're looking for a leading diagonal that's overlapping to have a wave 1, then we get a pullback for wave 2, and for the rest of the week we just kind of bounce and get negative towards the end of the week, and we start continuing underneath these retracements, and that's what we're looking for. But if we hold this zone and this really looks just like a correction and we start getting bullish, we break above here, and again, that's our bullish scenario. We're wrong. I do think we have our correction done. I think everything's complete. This is the very bearish scenario. And we'll just keep an open mind. Always keep an open mind. But I do think that we made our high here. We had a divergent high. We're starting to correct, bounce up, and we continue lower. That's what I'm looking at. Okay. QQQ, just to give you another perspective on why I don't think this is gonna kind of lead what we're thinking. This is the tail wagging the dog. All right, QQQ, we had our wedge here, broke down from it. You see, QQQ hasn't done anything. We're right back where we started, way back here in June. We're sideways. We're making a top, in my opinion. And so we don't have much room to the upside. The near term scenario where sure we make one more high in SPY, I don't see that happening unless DIA and IWM, the small caps, and the Dow Jones are super strong. Like I'm talking 3-4%, just raging moves to the upside. And while tech is just kind of grinding, it has a top and just grinds up for a wave 2 and then goes lower. Because we already pretty much topped here on QQQ. We have a downtrend line. We topped. We have our wedge we broke down from. We have sell signals all over the place. And we're heading lower. Now, QQQ is that same situation. We can make that slight low. If we're just being conservative, we have this trend line down here. If we're making a slight low, that's going to be overlapping 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. We're looking for a wave 3. And so in this case, if we're impulsive, we're looking for an A, B, so some sort of correction. Maybe tomorrow's the gap up or Tuesday, something like that. Or maybe we go a little lower. I'm not sure how it's going to come out. And we get a lower high and we just impulse to the downside. We should have a pretty rapid move if this is a scenario. To the downside, And then we'll have to check all of our daily indicators. We'll have to be on it. We get near these lows, and we're going to have to be on it and ready to reverse. Now, if price continues to just break down, that's aggressive. We have a 1-2, 1-2 setup. And now we're looking for impulse 1-2, and just boom. It should just grind. It should break everything. It should gap down after close. So you have to be careful down these lows. If the market closes on a day and we're just near lows and stuff like that, you don't want to just go long. You want to have protection in whichever way you're going. The market could gap down lower and just continue. It could have daily divergence, positive divergence, and just rip your face off if you're short down here. So this will be our zone we're looking at. Our alternative is that this is a 3-wave move. We got our correction. Somehow you get a 5-wave move in here. An A, B, C. I know there's other people that do WXYs and stuff like that. So a zigzag, a 3-wave move, and a zigzag, whatever. You have your ABC, keep it simple. And then we're looking for some sort of impulse. And then we get or maybe a 1-2, 1-2. We get our retracement. And then we make new highs. We break out from these downtrend lines. And we go higher. With tech leading the charge. Pulling the S&P down from the depths. Because IWM, SPY, they are leading to the downside. They're much lower than QQQ. So QQQ is going to be the leadership, boom, to the upside and take over, and everything else should be strong too. Or QQQ should be really weak and start dragging everything else down while it wants to bounce. IWM's oversold. SPY is oversold. QQQ is going to, if we're going to be bearish, it's going to lead. Especially if this is a 1-2, 1-2 setup and we're heading much, much lower. Okay, so again, I have the very bearish setup here. 1-2, 1-2. Now we changed that to the more conservative in the white. In the white, 1, impulse move down, 1, 2, 3, overlapping 4. This fits the same criteria as we were just talking about in SPY. 4 is here. I can't highlight it. Oh, there it goes. So this 4, this is our conservative move that we're looking for this week. And then with the top being in here, 3 is not the longest. 1 is longer than 3, so 5 has to be shorter than 3. Okay, look up those. If you're looking into Elliott wave theory, go online, look it up. 3 cannot be the shortest in an impulse wave. So wave 5 cannot exceed this 100% of wave 3. So we do have a limit on how far this can go down. If we break this down at 345, this is very important, you guys. This is what I'm looking at. If we are more bearish than we expect, if we do not have even if we do have divergences and we want to, you can burn through divergences. Some sort of catalyst happens, and this is a 1-2, 1-2. Well, it's confirmed past this 345 zone right here. This 345 is 100% retracement. Wave 3 cannot be the shortest. Okay, wave 1 is already bigger than wave 3. So wave 5 continues on. That's no longer a wave 5. We're going to keep going. Okay, so that's why I have all of these things to build a story. If this happens, then that happens. 345 is very, very important. I know you don't see anything else here. That's just what if. Now, on the conservative mode, we have confluence at the 62% retracement and a 382 from all time, from the recent highs. So we're really on the conservative. You have the 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're looking at just breaking a new low and regaining that. On a conservative point, we should regain this section. This should be our support at the 350. that breaks, then we're starting to sweat, you know, depending. But you really have to look at the 345. I hope that's clear to you. QQQ is really such a key factor. You know, you think that would be the market itself. SPY is really the overwhelming. It's the biggest market, but QQQ has such an influence on it. So you always want to watch to see what happens in addition with like IWM and DIA. If those two are strong, they can overpower QQQ, but they have to be overpowering by a lot. They have to be huge percent moves. All right, I don't want this to drag on any more. Let's just go quickly on ES. We want to check out the 65-minute, and we'll go to the VIX and see what's happening there. We have the same thing kind of happening on. We're still looking for that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as conservative look. But if you go in here quickly, we're getting that that bounce overnight here on Sunday. But if Monday should typically be following Friday's procedure, we have a gap up. I just noticed that. So we're actually going to take a futures trade right here. We're at resistance. Sorry, I didn't know this was happening. So what I'm seeing right now is an ABC correction. We have a 1, 2, 3 wave move down so far, but what I think is happening is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave leading diagonal. We get our retracement and we move down lower to either make that alternative higher low and go and continue higher, or breaking to new lows. Okay. And I'm going to make a quick trade while we're on this video here because I wanted just an individual contract overnight. When you're doing overnight trades, you don't want to trade heavy. That's just not, I'm looking at my phone here, so that's just not how you do it. We have on the hourly time frame, we have this is a 65, but on the hourly time frame, I'm showing that we have a tweezer top here. So that's a nice sell signal. Let's go ahead and put one contract in. Okay, so we're selling an MES right here on the video at 43.70, and we'll be looking for. I'll place the. I want to close this gap. I'll place the sell right at the low, because if we get that overnight, I'm not worried about a couple more points. We'll be looking to make a new low, but I'll just take the sell at 43.40. Should be good, because this low is at 43.475. We'll place our GTC close at 43.40. All right, so there you go, a trade idea. I'm going to get this out to you right now. I'm not really worried about the VIX, but we'll take the VIX futures real quick. We're looking at the VIX had this nice move out of this falling wedge. You have the futures here. So consolidating right now, probably makes a new high. You have maybe an A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we make a new high here and we make a new low on that, we're probably going to make a new high and coming to a new pivot up there somewhere. So make that quick, you guys. Thanks for joining us here at Options Center. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like the video. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon.